Okay, so this is a key to the worksheet on properties of polynomials. And in number 1, it says for the following polynomial, list the terms, and then place the term in each blank. And there are more blanks than terms. All right, so you can't see the exponents very well, so I'm going to go ahead and just rewrite this over. So number 1's here. So I want you to remember that this polynomial, you got to remember what your terms are. So your terms are separated by the addition symbol. So I want you to now some students when they have a subtraction problem here, like they have 7x cubed subtract 3x squared, they think that the term is 3x squared. That's not true. So to be on the safe side, it's always a good idea if you're asked to list the terms, always change subtraction to addition. So this becomes 7x cubed plus a negative 3x squared plus 5x plus a negative 2. All right. So when you're asked to list the terms or to identify the terms, always think of subtraction as addition. And so your terms are 7x cubed. The next one is a negative 3x squared. Okay, not positive, negative 3x squared. The next one is a positive 5x. And the next one is a negative 2. So those are your terms. It is always a good idea when you're asked to identify the terms to always change the subtraction to an addition problem so you don't mess up. Okay, so that's number 1. So number 1, the answer is 7x cubed, a negative 3x squared, 5x, and a negative 2. Okay? All right. Number 2, you're asked, what is the coefficient of the following term? All right, so the term we have is this, number 2. Number 2, we have negative 7x cubed y. That was an easy one, right? The coefficient is the number that you're multiplying that variable expression by. So x cubed times y is being multiplied by that negative 7. So the answer is negative 7. Okay? All right, so the coefficient equals negative 7. That's what you have to write. Not 7, negative 7. Okay, number 3, it says for each expression, determine whether it's a polynomial, and then just write yes or no. So let's go to number 3a rather. So 3a, we have 3x to the 4th minus 6x to the 5th plus 2x cubed. So this is a polynomial because each of those terms are monomials. So we have a monomial, and negative 6x to the 5th is a monomial, and 2x cubed is monomial. And so this is a monomial because notice that the exponent is a positive integer. Okay? A positive integer. So when you have a polynomial, your exponents must be positive integers. 4, 5, and 3. So the answer is yes, that is a polynomial. For b, we have 4x to the negative 5th plus 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. So I have this expression that has 4 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is not a polynomial. And the reason it's not a polynomial is because of this term here. This term, the exponent is negative. So remember we just discussed, if you have a polynomial, the exponents must be positive integers, or they can be 0. Okay? So positive integers are 0. And so notice that this exponent's 2, this exponent's 1, and then you have your constant. Now I want you to notice, you may say, well, when are you going to see an exponent of 0? So remember x to the 0 is 1, right? X to the 0. So you see this constant 2? I can think of 2 as 2x to the 0. So x squared, x to the first, and then x to the 0. All right. But what makes this not a polynomial is because of that negative exponent. That's the reason. Okay? Okay, so we have a negative exponent. All right? And you may say, well, why don't you just write it with a positive exponent? Okay, well, let's think about that. So 4x to the negative 5th, by definition, is 4 times 1 over x to the 5th, right? So that's 4x to the fifth. But remember, a monomial, you cannot have any variables in the denominator. So this is not a monomial. All right, you cannot have any variables in the denominator. All right, so that's why you may even changing it to a positive exponent is not going to matter anyway, because the variables in the denominator, and you cannot have variable denominator. That's not a monomial. All right, and then C, you have negative 4x cubed plus 5x to the 2/3 minus 4x plus 1. So hopefully you saw right away that this is not a polynomial because of that 2/3. 2/3 is not a integer, right? So this is not an integer. And let me rephrase that. This is not a positive integer. Positive integer. I don't want to. I need to be careful because I can't just say this is not an integer because this is an integer and we said it's not a polynomial. All right, so I need to be a little bit more specific. So this is not a positive integer or 0. Okay? Positive integer or 0. All right, so that's number 3. So in 3, we know that the answer here is yes, no, no, right? Yes, no, no. Okay, number 4. So number 4, you wanted to write this polynomial that you see here in descending order. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this over. We have 5x squared plus 7x to the 4th minus 6x cubed plus 3x minus 1. And this is an easy kind because there's only one variable that you see. You see the variable x. So in writing in descending order, you want to put the term that has the largest exponent first. So my term here is 7x to the 4th. I'm going to write it first. Then the next term is x cubed. So I'm going to put this term second. But remember, that's negative 6x cubed or subtract 6x cubed, right? And then x squared comes next, so plus 5x squared. And then your x term plus 3x. And then your constant is always last. So that's the answer for that one. Okay? So the answer to number 4 is 7x to the 4th minus 6x cubed plus 5x squared plus 3x minus 1. All right? And then in number 5, you're asked determine whether the polynomial is a monomial, binomial, trinomial, or none of these. So in number 5a, we have negative 6x to the 5th plus 4x minus 3. So to determine if it's a monomial, binomial, trinomial, or none of these, you need to know how many terms there are. So remember, a monomial is a polynomial with just one term. A binomial, hence remember bicycle, two wheels. So a binomial is a polynomial with two terms, two monomial factors, right? Two monomials. And then a trinomial, 3 terms, or 3 monomials, and then none of these would be 4 or more. Okay? So if you look at 5a, you have 1, 2, 3. You have 3 terms, so this is a trinomial. In b, you have 3x to the 4th plus 5x squared. So this term and this term. So there are 2 terms, so that's a binomial. So you have 2 monomials. So you have 2 monomials, 3 monomials. And then c, you have this monomial, right? So this one term. And then in D, you have 7x to the 5th plus 8x to the 4th minus 3x cubed plus 4x plus 2. And remember, we only have special names for, in terms of polynomials, we only have special names for monomial, binomial, trinomial. So if you have more than 3 terms, so 4 more terms or 4 more monomials, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we just call it a polynomial. So this is just called a polynomial, but I wanted you to just say none of these. Okay, so it'd be none of these. So this polynomial does not have a special name. This does not have a special name. A polynomial with 3 terms has a special name, trinomial. A polynomial with 2 terms has a special name, binomial. A polynomial with 1 term has a special name. It's a monomial. A polynomial with 4 or more terms does not have a special name. It's just called a polynomial. It is just called a polynomial. Okay? All right. So the answer here was trinomial. This is a binomial. This is a monomial. And this is none of these. Okay, so it's just a polynomial. All right, so that is the key to this worksheet.